Okay, we're going to now talk about graphing proportional relationships, or just simply graphing proportions. So let's do a little review first. We have a scale drawing. If you have a scale drawing of your room that has a length of 8 inches and a width of 6 inches, this is the scale drawing. So the first thing when you read something like this, you probably want to go ahead and draw a rectangle, because obviously it's a rectangle. Okay, and it's 6 inches to 8 inches. The scale is 1 to 3, so I went ahead and wrote the ratio, 1 inch to 3 feet. Make sure you label. That'll help you. Then you want to find the cost of the carpet to carpet your room if it costs $6.25 per square foot. So there's a lot in here. So you might want to think about, okay, I've got the bottom line, what I'm trying to find is money. I'm trying to find costs. You might want to make sure that you know your answer has to be in terms of a dollar sign. Okay? And it's carpet. So carpet we know covers the whole floor. So when you cover the whole thing, we call that area. And we know the area of any rectangle is a length times a width. So these are just things that I need to know that'll help me later. Okay, so the first thing I need to do though, I don't want to carpet my scale drawing, I want to carpet the real room. So I don't need to go 6 times 8 because I'm not trying to carpet the picture. I'm trying to carpet the real room. So I've got to convert it to the right number of feet. Well, if it's 1 inch to 3 feet, then to find, say, the length, this would be the length, call that the length, this thing's not writing, then you put the 8 inches on top to match the 8, and you don't know what's on the bottom. Actually, we should just probably call that L. So make that L. And similarly, since it's 6 is the width, name that the width, we have 6 inches on top, and we'll call that W. Then we do the cross product. So if you do that very simply, you can do it in your head. You know, your real room is going to really be 24 inches, 24 feet, by 3 times 6 is 18 feet. So that's the real room. So, okay, so now you know you need to find the area. So when you do 24 times 18, which you can just do on your calculator, you're going to get there. This whole thing is 432 square feet, because feet times feet is feet squared. So that's how big your area is. And let me tell you, they'll have that as one of your answers, A, B, C, or D. They'll probably have 432, and they might put a dollar sign, or they might put 432 square feet. So you've got to be sure, okay, is that my answer? Well, I didn't use this at all, and that's part of the cost, so it seems like that would be part of the money, to find the money part. So when you do 432 times 625, you get $2,700 is what I got when I did it. So that's a very expensive carpet in your room, which is very big, by the way. Most rooms are not that big. But that's $2,700. That would be your final answer. And hopefully they'd have that as one of your selections. Okay, it's a little review. It's a big problem that involves a lot of steps. Okay, the second thing I want you to remember is that unit rate can be expressed as 1 on the bottom of the ratio, which you know. But it could be 2 different ways to think about it when you're talking about money and prices of things. You can have 4 bananas cost $1, that's a unit rate, or 1 banana will cost 25 cents. Okay, to graph, the ordered pair would be 1.4 or 1.25, depending. See, your 1 is the x is the 1. And then if they graphed, money or bananas, however they did the graph on the side, that would be whether you do the 4 or the 25. And you'll understand that as we go through. Okay, so now we're going to look at some problems. Now we're going to graph some proportions. Okay, we're going to get 2 major problems here to work through. All right, for every 6 cups of grape juice, you need 3 cups of lime juice. We're going to make it real simple. And what we want to do is we want to make a chart out of this information, a graph out of the information, and an equation. The chart and the graph you've done, but now we're going to learn how to do an equation. And we're going to learn a few things while we're doing it. So the graph is pretty simple. You start with the grape juice, and say start with grape juice, we'll start with grape juice and lime juice. Okay, so you go ahead and mark 6 to 3. And then you keep cutting it down until you get to 1 where the grape juice is, since that's basically going to be your x. That's the first one, that's always your x, and this is your y. So we want to know what the unit rate is. To get the unit rate, we've got to know what 1 is. If you keep breaking it down, you get 1, and then you get a half. 1 cup of grape juice means a half cup of lime juice. You're making some kind of punch. Okay, so then you do your little graph, you label the parts. Grape is going to be on the bottom, since it's the x, it's the horizontal. Lime will be your vertical. And I should have put cups. You can always label, this means cups, and this means cups. Okay, so when you graph it, you go over 1, up a half. Over 2, up 1. You can't hardly see it on here, but if I had lines, I'd be able to do a better job. But I tried to measure pretty accurately. And so what you realize is that every time you move up a half a unit, you go over 1 whole unit. And when you go up 2 half units, all the way up to 2, which would be 1, all up to 1 because it's 2 half units, you went over 2 units. Can't quite see it here. It's not quite as accurate. Anyway, then when you go up 3, then you go up 1.5 units. Okay? So as you see yourself doing that, then you realize that happens all the time. Every time I go up up however many half units I have, then I go over 1 unit. So when you start from 0, 0, to get to any point on the line, which represents the grape juice to lime juice ratio, or proportion, however you want to say it, you go up x times a half units for every x units to the right. Since that happens every time, we can make it into an equation, because equation just is something that happens all the time. 2 plus 2 always equals 4, okay? So all the time I get y for this particular graph is going to be, I'm going to multiply however far I go over, I multiply that by a half, or simply y equals 1/2 x, okay? This is new, so we'll talk about it more tomorrow, but just to kind of let yourself kind of absorb it, and you'll become more familiar with it, more understanding what's going on. Okay, so what I want you to notice, you have your equation, y equals 1/2 x. You can give, this equation gives us the unit rate. In other words, it gives us what x equals when x equals, y equals when x equals 1. So the unit rate is when x equals 1, so you simply plug it in. Y equals 1/2, there's your x, so you plug in 1 to where the x is, and y equals 1/2. So the ordered pair for the unit rate would be 1, 1/2, which means that x is the 1. Remember now, the x meant the grape juice, so for 1 cup of grape juice, you need 1/2 cup of lime juice. That's what that represents. 1 cup of grape juice, I need 1/2 cup of lime juice. And if I have that as my unit rate, I can get any other amounts that I want to, based on that. Okay, so this is what we're going to try now. Based on that, because we know that's always true, supposing you have 23 cups of grape juice, how many cups of lime juice would you need? Well, let's estimate first. If I know my grape juice is my x, my lime juice is my y, okay, I know that I need a bunch of grape juice. I need really twice as much grape juice or half as much lime juice. So if I have 23 cups of grape juice, I only need about half of that much for lime. So it's going to be about half of 23 is about 11, okay, or 10. So when you actually do the problem out, you just simply plug it in. Where the x is, since that's my x, I plug in 23, and I get half of 23 is 11.5 cups of lime juice. Okay? Next one. Suppose you have 19 cups of lime juice, and you want to know how much grape juice you need. Estimate first. Well, 19 cups of lime juice. I know for every half cup of lime juice, I have a whole cup of grape juice. So I need double. So double 19 is close to double 20, so that's about 40. So you want to say, I think it's about 40 cups of grape juice I'm going to need. So again, when you plug it in, 19 this time goes where the y is, because that's your lime juice, and that's what you have. You have lime juice here, not grape juice. Like here was grape juice, and here we have lime juice. So you plug in 19, then you have to multiply, right? To get rid of the 1/2, we multiply both, we either divide by a half or multiply both sides by 2, and that's going to be 38, equals how many cups of grape juice you need. Okay, so let's do another example, and then that'll be it, and then we'll talk about it more in class. Okay, so example B. Supposing Grandma, okay, rides her bike 12 miles in 4 hours. Okay, she's getting her exercise. That's good. And you want to assume she has a constant speed. She just keeps on trucking. She just goes. Okay. So you want to make a chart, a graph, and an equation. All right, chart's easy. You got the time. Usually time will always be your x value, even though we mentioned the time second. We're going to usually put it first because time in general is always going to be your x-axis, and we'll talk about that another day, why that is true. And then you have the miles, okay? So in 4 hours, she did 12 miles, and then you get to break it down, take half and half, and then half again, and then I just went ahead and got 3 because I missed, 1, 2, 3, so I missed a 3. Okay, then I graphed it. Every 1 hour, she went 3 miles. Every 2 hours, she went 6, and on like that. Then I noticed what I was doing. Every time when I start at 0, every time I move up 3 units for every 1 unit to the right. Okay, when I did 2 times 3, in other words 6 units, I moved up 2 units, moved over 2 units. When we moved up 3 or 9 units, I moved over 3 units, so that's 9 units. I moved over 3 units to the right. Okay, so since that happened every time, you can say that when you start from 0, 0, to get to any point, you have to go up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. Okay, that's what happens every single time. So that's going to be your equation that got a little bit shaved off here. That means that y is going to equal x times 3, or we usually like to put the number in front, 3x. So our unit rate then is going to be when x is 1. Well, when x is 1, y is going to be 3. So that means in 1 hour, Grandma went 3 miles, which we already got right here. We actually already had it. And you will be able just to eventually get your unit rate right from there, your equation right from there. But I want to see how we get the equation. Okay, so let's apply this now. So supposing Grandma rode, number 1, supposing Grandma rode 6 hours and 30 minutes. How far did she ride? Well, remember now, X is your hours, so you plug in 6.5, because 30 minutes, half an hour. 6.5, you're working, oh, you should estimate first. I forgot about that. If you estimate, okay, Grandma rode 6 hours and 30 minutes. We know for every 3 hours, she goes, for every hour, I forgot. For every 1 hour, she goes 3 miles. Okay, so she's riding for 6 hours, so it's going to be about 3 times 6. So we're going to say about 18 miles. And we're right, when you work it in, we get about 19.5. Okay, this time Grandma rode almost 16 miles. We want to know how long did it take her. Okay, again, let's estimate first. If we estimate, we know every 1 hour she goes 3 miles, so she went 15, so that's going to be about 5 hours. So we're going to say about 5 hours. We do the equation. This time we plug the miles is going to be your y, so we plug that into the y, and we divide both sides by 3, and we get 5 hours. 0.25. Now, be careful. That's 5 hours. It's not 5 hours and 25 minutes. It's 5 and 0.25, remember, is 25 hundredths, which reduces to 1/4. That's how I got the 1/4 there. So it's 5 hours and 15 minutes, because 1/4 of an hour, you know, is 15 minutes. So be careful when you get that time thing going on. Okay, that's it.